You can know God exists because he turned up and introduced himself. And more importantly, because he introduced himself, you can not only know God is there, you can know what God is like. It's not much good knowing that God is there if you can't know anything about him. Let me explain. Christianity is about Jesus Christ. Many people have an opinion about Jesus, but listen to what Jesus says about himself in John chapter 14. He says, "The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me." Jesus also says, "Whoever has seen me has seen the Father." What Jesus is doing is claiming equality with God. He says, "If you've seen me, you've seen God in the flesh. If you listen to me, you are listening to God. If you trust me, you are trusting in God. If you reject me, you are rejecting God." In John chapter 8, the people try to stone Jesus because he made this claim to be God. The people back there and then knew exactly what Jesus was claiming about himself, and they didn't like it. When Thomas sees Jesus risen from the dead, he says, "My Lord and my God." And Jesus accepts this conclusion about his identity, and he accepts the worship of his disciples. Thomas and the other disciples understood that Jesus is God. This is the consistent message of the New Testament. For example, the letter to the Hebrews, Colossians, and John's Gospel all make it clear that Jesus is God come in the flesh. He is the one who made the universe and who sustains his creation. Jesus is the man who is God. God revealing himself to humanity. God rescuing us from the judgment we deserve. They're big claims, aren't they? Very big claims. But Jesus backed up his claims with action. Jesus could control the forces of nature. He calmed a storm with a word. He fed thousands from one boy's cut lunch. Jesus healed the sick. He made the lame walk. He restored sight to the blind. He raised people from the dead. And having claimed on at least 3 occasions that he would suffer, die, and then rise to new life on the 3rd day, that is exactly what he did. He laid down his life and he took it up again. He rose from the dead. So if you'd been there at the right time, 28 lifetimes ago, in the Middle East, in towns we still hear about in the news today, you could have seen God. You could have listened to him, had a meal with him, seen him heal people, seen him crucified, and seen him rise from the dead. The beautiful thing is that the Christian faith is based on public events. These things happened in history. This means that they can be examined and the evidence weighed. We weren't there, but there is enough evidence from the eyewitnesses for us to know what happened. How do I know God exists? First and foremost, because of Jesus. Lots of people think, well, I believe in God if he'd show himself to me. But that's ignoring the fact that in Jesus, God has already done exactly that. And it's ignoring the fact that when Jesus appears again, it will be blindingly obvious that he is God and that he cannot be ignored or trivialised. When Jesus appears again, it's going to be too late to decide, well, maybe God exists after all.